This whole video is just me trying to make Everett cringe.
Seriously. Hey everyone, I'm Everett and I play Marvin in Time for Dimensional Robin.
What about Marvin?
Marvin!
Well, you're her husband, right?
She married the cable guy?
And I'm Josephine and I play the title character of Robin.
And today we're going to talk about the difference between dimension and universe and how Hollywood mixes it all up. So join us as we go into the science and fiction of Time for Dimensional Robin. Have you ever watched a sci-fi and then one of the characters says alternate dimension or parallel universe?
Parallel universe, coexisting with ours on another dimensional plane.
Okay, can you think of an example of when you heard a sci-fi say dimension or alternate dimension or universe? No?
I mean, I'm thinking of Avengers, but I also cannot tell you what they said.
Honestly, Marvel did to science what Zack Snyder did to Batman.
There's a really long version of science now.
I think the first time I heard dimension being used the wrong way was the Twilight Zone.
You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension. A dimension of sound. A dimension of sight. A dimension of mind.
That's crazy. Because I'm not even sure they use dimensions in Twilight.
Oh, God. Well, let me just tell you that drives me crazy. And yet, while I had the chance to do it right on our show, I still chose the Hollywood method. The thing is, especially in Hollywood, the word dimension is used when they really want to say universe. Like alternate dimension really means alternate universe. Parallel dimension, really they're trying to say parallel universe. Because dimensions are not universes. Did I ever tell you where the title for our show came from?
No, but I'm sure you're going to tell me.
We did 10 episodes and I never told you where I got the title for this show.
No.
When I was, I think 15 or 16? In high school, I shot a little project with my friends and called it Time for Dimensional Robin, about a guy named Robin who went to another universe and had some sort of adventure.
This is a remake?
Okay, but do you know why I named him Robin?
I don't know. That's a girl's name.
Robin Hood?
I mean, he's a little fruity.
But the point is I named him after Kevin Costner's Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Alan Rickman plays the Sheriff of Nottingham and has an iconic line. He says, "Robin, I'm gonna cut your heart out with a spoon!" And his cousin goes,
"Why a spoon, cousin? Why not an axe?"
"Because it's dull, you twit. It'll hurt more." But the whole point was I put in a scene where the villain, played by my friend Akshay, comes up to me and says, "Robin, I'm gonna cut your heart out with a spoon." And I reply, "Does it come with a fork?"
Wow, that's a really bad pun.
Hey, I was 15 coming up with these weird parodies, and I was in love with Spaceballs and all those kind of movies, so I thought I was brilliant.
I mean, you would definitely still make that joke today.
Anyway, when I was young, I heard dimension all the time being used as a reference to parallel universes. And so I thought Time for Dimensional Robin was a great title. Having grown up and learned more about science, I realize now that it's wrong, and boy, does it annoy me. But here's the thing, it's still usable because we are still using dimensions. She travels through the fifth
dimension of space-time.
I don't think you're grasping the relativity of your situation. We're about to travel through the fifth dimension of space-time.
We're about to travel through time?
Well, technically, you're always time traveling.
Josie, do you remember that scene in Stranger Things, Season 1, Episode 5, where Mr. Clark explains the upside down?
I don't remember Mr. Clark.
So you know how in Cosmos, Carl Sagan talks about other dimensions, like beyond our world?
So right off the bat, the kid asks his teacher, you know how Carl Sagan talks about dimensions beyond our world? Well, when you say dimensions beyond our world, that does exist, but the way he is asking it is more along the lines of universes beyond our world.
You guys have been thinking about Hugh Everett's many worlds interpretation, haven't you?
Wait. Hugh Everett?
Yes, I am.
Wow.
So basically, there are parallel universes, just like our world, but just infinite variations of it.
The way he describes Everett's many worlds interpretation is actually spot on. Now, you could say whether or not they're parallel or perpendicular to us, that's up for interpretation as well. But the idea that there are infinite variations of the universe is accurate when describing Everett's many worlds interpretation. But where he really kind of messes up in his explanation is the acrobat and the flea metaphor.
Picture an acrobat standing on a tightrope. And the tightrope is our dimension. And our dimension has rules. You can move forwards or backwards. But what if right next to our acrobat, there is a flea? Now, the flea can also travel back and forth, just like the acrobat, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Here's where things get really interesting. The flea can also travel this way, along the side of the rope. He can even go underneath the rope.
Upside down.
Exactly.
Now, as a metaphor, I think it kind of works and it gets the point across, but the specifics are a little off. So let's get back to it after we discuss what dimensions are. Josie, what is 0 dimension?
Like, just a dot.
Technically, that is correct. We like to say point. What is 1 dimension of space?
Like a line.
That is correct. What is the 2nd dimension?
A square.
That's actually correct because it is a line squared.
Actually, okay, I know all of this because of the movie Inside Out.
Oh no, we're 2-dimensional. That's stage 3.
We're getting nowhere!
Depth! I'm lacking depth!
If you ever read A Wrinkle in Time, that was my first time coming across dimensions of space by saying each dimension is just the previous dimension squared. So what is the 3rd dimension?
A cube. Square? Squared.
That's correct. It's the 2nd dimension squared. And now, what is the 4th dimension?
Time.
Okay. Sorry, I asked that incorrectly. What is the 4th dimension of space?
A cube cubed.
No, close though. A cube.
A cube squared.
That's correct. It's called a tesseract. You know what's really funny? Marvel has a tesseract and it's really just this blue cube. And that's not what a tesseract is. I mean, but they called it a tesseract. An actual tesseract looks like this. So if the 4th dimension of space is the 3rd dimension squared, what's the 5th dimension of space?
The 4th dimension squared.
And the 6th dimension?
The 5th dimension squared.
And so on. You could just keep making more dimensions of space ad infinitum. So here's why it's easy to confuse dimensions with universes. Let's say you have 2 flat universes. Both of these universes are 2D. You could say they are parallel. You see 2 planes, and in your head you're like, plane is 2nd dimension, so you might say parallel dimensions. But they are not 2 parallel dimensions. Dimension is just a property of each universe. It would be like saying, look, both of these papers are purple. Are you going to tell me that these are 2 parallel purples? No, they're 2 parallel sheets of paper. You could say the same thing about our 3D universe. There is probably a parallel 3D universe. They're parallel universes that both have the property of 3 dimensions. Now what's fun is how would you travel from one universe to another? So using the same example with the parallel 2D universes, you could go from one to the other, but in order to do that, you have to travel through our 3D universe. So in order to travel from one universe to another, you have to go through a higher dimension.
Ah, I got it. Okay, so Robin says we travel through the 5th dimension of space-time.
Right.
We live in 3D, but also time, so 4D-ish.
Right. We don't live in four dimensions of space. We live in 4 dimensions of space-time.
So we live in 3D plus 1, so we have to go through 4D plus 1, which is 5.
Yes. So let's break down Mr. Clark's example of the acrobat and the flea.
But we're not the flea, we're the acrobat.
In this metaphor, yes, we're the acrobat.
So we can't go upside down?
No.
He was presenting us an example of dimensions. To the acrobat, his tightrope is just a line. Let's say you zoom into that one-dimensional line, the flea is experiencing a 2D world that is wrapped around a one-dimensional line. And it can now go around this line. To the flea, it looks like a flat land. To us, we see it as a line.
It's like some people think Earth is flat because it looks like it.
Not at all.
The flea is a flat earther.
So this is what is kind of misleading about his example. Because yeah, the flea can be on the side and the flea can be underneath. The only reason the acrobat can't be underneath is because he would fall.
Because his feet aren't sticky.
Yes. What he is trying to do is to show you the separation of dimensions. And that has to do with scale. So no, the acrobat's rope does not separate the regular from the upside down. With this example, the upside down would be like the flea's world. So if anything, you'd have to shrink yourself to the size of the flea to experience a different dimension. But to experience the upside down, that is a different universe, not dimension.
Well, is there any way for the acrobat to get to the upside down?
Well, you'd have to create a massive amount of energy. More than humans are currently capable of creating, mind you, to open up some kind of tear in time and space. And then you create a doorway.
Like a gate?
Sure, like a gate. But again, this is all
Theoretical.
He was talking about a wormhole. Let's say this is a universe, this flat land is a universe, and I want to go from one side of the universe to the other. A wormhole could do it if you could bend the universe and travel through the higher dimension to get to the other side. The way he did it was he separated it as, oh, that's the upside down and that's the right side up, as if that was part of the same universe, maybe, but it's not, and that is a way to travel through wormholes.
But what, Robin collides wormholes?
No, Robin collides black holes.
The negative energy I create by colliding these singularities before they can evaporate inflates a hypersphere just big enough for us to tunnel through the membranes of the multiverse.
So there you have it. Dimensions are properties of universes, not actual places to visit.
Okay, let me ask you this. Could we travel to a multiverse where different dimensions do exist?
Not without changing the structure of our existence.
Okay, so could we travel to a multiverse where they do have parallel dimensions?
Science is neat, but I'm afraid it's not very forgiving.
If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a comment to see what parallel universe Everett's explanation should be in, because I didn't get any of it.
And make sure you check out our show, Time for Dimensional Robin. Tschüss.
Tschüss.